All right. Welcome back to another episode of Light Skin Pod. We are on number 53. Keep on climbing, chasing 100, then we'll chase 1,000. But today, we're here with a good friend of mine. One of the first people I've actually met when I moved to Duluth. It's been a ride. Crazy ride. You want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, Solomon Witherspoon. Duluth native, hometown boy here. You know what I mean, though?
Yeah.
Love we call it God's country up here.
That's what they say.
For real, it's like God's country. You know what I mean, though? Even when it's snowing outside, there's still a plethora of things to do. You know what I'm saying? Those summertime, the whole 9 yards.
Plethora. We started off with big words. Big words. Let's see what we come up with. So, like always, let's start at Baby Solomon.
Ooh, Baby Solomon.
Take us back.
Well, first and foremost, man, St. Luke's Hospital, cool thing about my family, Paz, what you probably know now, there was 10 of us in the Witherspoon family. So we had the largest black family in the city of Duluth.
In the state. In the state at the time.
In the early 70s, it really was, yeah. So, it was just awesome growing up, My father actually worked with, he was a chaplain in the service and a pastor, Reverend Witherspoon. So he worked with, the city, county, he worked with all the mayors, the police department. So, we had a chance to grow up and experience some wonderful things, as a child. But being from Duluth, man, it was, I call it a beautiful struggle, being the only big black family, you know what I mean, though? So we experienced racism, we experienced everything, a lot of people, they didn't like black people, but they loved the Witherspoons because we were, we were so polite. We had to be. Pops was a pastor.
If he wasn't, y'all probably got your ass whooped. So
what time it was, man. But at the house, you could always come by. Always unequivocally come get a good word in a good hot plate. You know what I'm saying, though? That's what's cool about the Witherspoon family. I was the youngest boy.
Okay.
4 older brothers. I got my ass whooped. But hey, you know what? That taught me how to run and you know what I mean? How to get in shape quick. I learned how to talk and run. Like, what? You can't catch me.
Now, what part of Duluth did y'all grow up in?
The Central Hillside.
Central Hillside, okay.
Right? Hey, 6th Street, 10th Avenue East, 1017, 6th Street. Yeah. But what was cool though, Paz, it was a true blessing to be able to grow up in that dynamic. You know what I mean? That diversity. We had everybody. We had some Asians, we had some Native Americans, we had blacks, we had whites, but we were all one family, all one team right there. 1017, we call it the Hillside, baby. All my boys Hill. That's real though. The Hillside, man. It was a blessing.
So, what school did y'all attend growing up, or just say you?
Well, growing up, I went to Grant Elementary. Okay. I went to Grant. Then I went to Washington Middle School. I went to Central High School for a year. Then I transferred to East.
Got it.
So growing up, you know what I mean? I was just right there.
Central on the hill.
Yes.
Got it. All right.
Central on the hill.
Sports.
Oh my good Lord!
Get into it. Because we're going to segue,
baby. Come on, baby. So, like I said, growing up being the youngest boy, right? All of my brothers played sports. And they all had friends that were 4 to 5 to 6 to 8 years older than me. So when I was 8 years old, I was playing with the 15, 16-year-old boys. So I 100% had the advantage. You know what I mean? My dad used to, my brother Elijah, bring me to the gym with him. When I was 10, Eli was pissed. I'm 10 years old. Eli's like, I don't know, 17, 18. I think I was...
I didn't know Eli was that much older than you.
Like 7 years old. Oops, sorry, Eli.
You know now.
Hey, but what's cool, though, was I think I was in 6th grade. Eli might have been like a senior or something like that. So I had a chance to work out with these monsters. So I grew up differently. You know what I mean, though? So really, when I was 14 years old, I had like a little 18-year-old body when I was 14 because I was forced into that, though. So but sports, though, the transition into sports, it was awesome, man. Started out 8th grade pretty much. 7th grade playing football for Kenwood Chester, KC, which was phenomenal. By the matter of fact, speaking of KC. I was talking about this last night. My quarterback was Chris Locker.
Okay, yeah.
He just passed away like 2 months ago. Yeah, but he was, one of the greats of top 100 in the state of Minnesota hockey. Chris Locker was my quarterback, and he lived out east. I lived in the Hillside.
Okay.
So hey, Locker, Lou, I love you, baby. You know what I'm saying though. But kid with Chester, man. And then me and four of my teammates, we kind of stayed together, congregated together. Went to Central, so I played there my freshman year. We won every single game by like 30, 40 points. We all played together for about 6, 7 years, man. And then then just went to East, man. And
so what year did you go to Central and then East?
I went to Central in 93, 94.
Okay.
Yep. So my freshman year. Yep. And then what happened was, long story short, my brother Sam, he was murdered in 1994. However, Sam worked for Bob Kunze. So Bob Kunze, he was a coach. And, he had, again, he ran a couple of summer camp basketball leagues. So one day, 3 people, their ankles got, whatever, twisted or did something else. I had to fill in. Bob Kunze was the coach. I was only like 11 years old, 12 years old. From that moment on, I started working for Bob Kunze every single summer. So he picked me up at 6:30 in the morning, whatever, 7 o'clock. We worked from 7 until 10:30, 11 o'clock, And long story short, he's like, hey, Spoon, you know what you need to do? I want you to graduate. He's like, you need to come to East. Yep. So I'm like, no, hell no. I'm Central all day long. He's seen the the crew I was hanging out with, which was just fine. But at the time, he said, hey, you know what? I really think that East would be a good home for you. And so sure enough, that's how I transitioned over to East. And it was probably one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life. Yeah.
What was it hard kind of getting plugged into East originally, or did y'all know a lot of people in there already?
That's a good question, Paz. Again, my family, my brother Sam, God rest his soul, he was the man. He knew everybody. So Sam hung out with all the folks from East, all the folks from Hermantown, Proctor, Superior. So when I got to East, actually, I met everybody's like little brother, little sister. So when I got to East, I already knew, you know what I mean? At least, 100 kids. So it was pretty easy that transition. Plus, sports-wise also. It was, man, I ain't gonna lie. I got to East, and that was my true home. From the teachers to the athletic department to the cheerleaders to the basketball team, the baseball team, the hockey team. They all showed love.
Yeah, that's
you know what I'm saying, though?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, immediately they all showed love.
Mm-hmm.
I think my first practice, actually, at East, we had a huge spaghetti dinner.
Okay.
And I was like, geez, this is cool. You know what I mean? I'm like, this is my first practice. I'm like, I didn't have a spaghetti dinner with my other team for like 2 or 3 years. And that was my first practice. I'm like, yeah. So, yeah, East High School, man, for sure. Yeah.
And what position did you play?
I was a running back.
Yep.
Paz, I tell you, man, I take life serious, you know. I have a different philosophy in life, you know. People that know me, I love words and I love phrases, but I love living by what we say, you know what I mean? In life, it's not what you do, it's what you don't do. And what I didn't do was what everybody else did to get down that dead end. So look at life like this, right? Life, 4-letter word, L-I-F-E. Lust, iniquity, fulfillment, and etiquette. If you put all them things together, it's just this puzzle that's so easy to mold and put together. You know what I mean, though? Because everybody wants to kind of take too big of a bite they can't chew. You know what I mean, though? And I was one of them kids like, hey, when my goal when I was young, you asked me, what do you want to do, Solomon? I'm like, I'm going to the NFL.
Yeah, trying to go to the league.
I'm going. You know what I mean, though? So many people want to be something, you know, when they're younger, but they don't push themselves. So fortunately for me, my father, you know what I mean? He just had that drive instilled in him. You know what I mean? So yeah, but I was a running back. Man, I got to school at 7 o'clock every morning, worked out every single morning before school. My brothers pushed the snot out of me, you know what I mean? So it was really cool, man. And then being around all them amazing athletes, you know, all you wanted to do was get better.
Yeah, for sure.
And then as soon as I got to East, my best friend, Ryan Sonafrake, God bless his soul, he passed away a couple of years ago now, right in that ballpark, yeah. But that's all we did was work out and want to get better, you know? But yeah, running back all day long, and it was a blessing. I think I was top 150, I think, in the United States at one point.
That's what's up.
And I broke my ankle my junior year, but like first 4 games had like 15 touchdowns and 1,000. It was
Crazy.
it was awesome, man.
Yeah.
But literally my O-line and my team, I didn't do it myself at all. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Though? Again, that family effect was phenomenal.
So did you come back and play your senior year?
I did.
You did, all right.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Came back and got busy my senior year. In fact, my senior year, we sent out tapes to everybody, and I received letters from my senior year in the East, from Florida State, Arizona State, Texas Tech, Nebraska.
Yep.
I signed my letter of intent with Barry Alvarez, the Wisconsin Badgers, when Ron Dane was there.
Yeah.
I was going to go there, but you had to have a certain GPA. My grades were horrible. That's 100%. If I can tell every athlete right now,
Yep.
I hate going back and speaking about the things that I did wrong.
Yeah.
Because that's all we hear about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? No, I was going to talk about give real accolades. But I didn't take my athletics to that level of 100%, which it should have been.
Yeah.
And I do kick myself in the ass every day for thinking of that.
Oh, trust me, I think about back in our high school. So we probably had 12 or 15 D1 prospects. Like, I'm talking about dogs. We had the number 1 player in the nation at one point, Rashawn Smith. And on the field, till this day, I've never seen a better football player ever. Like, and I've
Just
played
a
in high.
monster.
The kid Sean was 6'3". He's a middle linebacker, 6'3", probably 265, running a 4.5 high. I mean, a dog benching 500-600, and it moved. You know what I mean? But and we used to go in the hallway, and you'll see Nick Saban in the hallway, Urban Meyer. You just like, oh my god, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'll never forget, like, his junior year. He wanted to go play for Bama because, he looked up to like Dante Hightower, Courtney Upshaw, them dogs. And I remember my coach Tech pulled me aside. He said, "You have to get help from getting his grades up." Like, I was like, "Fuck," And about time when it was time to sign, he just ain't have the grades. He was so down by then, And then he had to go to JUCO. He was the number 1 player in the nation at JUCO. Got his grades up. Shattered his knee.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
And it was like,
Yep.
You know what I mean? And he lost a step. And you think, it's just a step at that level?
No, you can't.
It's different. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
And that's what's crazy too, Pat. So speaking of a step, and first of all, let me go back to revisit just the importance of grades now. What I love what the NCAA did and everybody did now. You have to go to school, college. They ain't letting nobody slide. All the coaches now are on all the boards at all these colleges now. If you get a D, you're on academic probation. They ain't playing none of that shit. I love that because look what it done. It formulated the best athletes. I'm like, you know what? If my coach didn't get on my ass every day, you get a D, you're sitting for a week.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I'm saying though?
No, and me and Joe, we coach, and it's like grades are. I tell people, like, football secondary.
Yeah.
Like, if we can help y'all become better men at the end of the day, that'll make you a better football player. But grades, attendance, that kills so many kids. You know what I mean?
Well, just trying to teach them that a well-rounded athlete is not just athletics.
Exactly.
It's grades.
That's what it is, though, too. And if you think about that, though, too, right, that kind of puts everything into perspective also. If you don't go to class and if you're not passing your grades, you're missing one of the key components of life, and that's respect, that's humility, and that's, you know what I mean?
Get educated.
That's what I'm saying, though. Because if you can't pass, a math test or an English test, what good are you in the field?
Yeah. And it's discipline too. And it teaches you, like, hey, I can count on you to be at these 6 a.m. workouts, just like I can count on you to be at 8 a.m. class. You know, it's structure, it's discipline, it's all the same. So I'll go back to this for you. Is after high school, did you end up going to college?
I did, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so after high school, I was going to go to the Wisconsin Badgers, right?
Yep.
Or the Minnesota Gophers. So I had bad grades. I decided like my father figure, Mike Son of Frank. He was the communications director for UMD for probably 30 years. He was in charge of all mine and Ryan's, like, football allegation or, whatever. Then anyhow, I decided to go to Rick's College in Rexburg, Idaho, because they sent 25 players D1 every single year.
That's what's up, yeah.
You know what I mean? Though, so all the like the Texas Tech players, BYU, Utah, Washington State, Utah State. Those were all everybody from the team.
Yep.
Everybody went D1.
And that was a JUCO?
Yes, it was a JUCO.
Yeah, okay.
Yep. So then we were there, and then I moved to Utah. So I played there for just a season, and then I followed my coach, Coach Brown. He went to Butte College. Where
I know Butte. Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers played at Butte.
Yep.
I went there just for like a month of summer. Then I went to College of the Redwoods, and then I was at College of the Redwoods. And then I went to UCLA for a visit. I went to USC for a visit, and I ended up going to Nebraska.
Okay.
I was a Cornhusker for like 3-4 months, so I couldn't prove in-state tuition.
Yeah.
My mom and we tried to refinance the house, but couldn't refinance the house. And they gave me a partial scholarship.
Got it.
So then I went to Nebraska State, and then my special teams coach, he coached the NIFL National Indoor Football League.
Okay.
So I was one of the original members on there. So we all have rookie cards and like trade for like 40 cents.
Yep.
But it was this little league, just kind of, we had ex-athlete, ex-NFL people in there.
For sure.
Every single game, we had 4 to 6 scouts at every game.
That's what's up.
And I was a team like specialist there, so I played speed, defensive rush, and I was like the blitz and linebacker. I was safety. I was the running back. You know what I mean? And I played there for a season and a half, and I got invited to 3 NFL combines.
That's what's up.
Yep. So in 2001, I tried out for the Chicago Bears. 2002, I tried out for the Atlanta Falcons. 2003, I tried out for the Dallas Cowboys. So speaking of that step you were talking about, man, I worked my ass off. You know what I mean? And I was like I was 222, 223. I'm running a 4.4, 4.5.
Floating.
Yep. However, I got involved with a crew that were just power lifters almost, And what I wanted to do, in my mind, I wanted to be stronger than going into these combines because I was pushing up 225 36 times. So I'm like, you know what? I want to hit 40 times. And everybody's like, oh, you know what? If you start, getting that, that your bench up, you're gonna put on a couple more pounds of muscle. Yeah. I swear to goodness, that's what happened. My combine for the Falcons, man, I thought I was 222. I checked in at 227. And my strength coach is like, how in the hell are you 227? So I'm trying to argue with these guys, like, is your scale wrong? Hey, 40, 459, 4, you know what I mean, though? Instead of my 464, 465, and that was the whole difference.
Oh, yeah.
Every other running back was running a 439, 44, and here I am, a 456, 457. Yeah. Hey, that extra step.
Yeah,
exactly.
It is. And you still hear the number, you're like, shit, 4.5 still fast, but when you got big backs, especially at that time, I'd go back to Ron Dane.
Yeah.
A dog.
Yep.
Ron was so big, but he was running 4.4s.
I know.
You know what I mean? And like, that's just a different frame. It's a different.
Man.
But shout out to you for still getting the opportunity to get in front of the league. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, most people can't say that.
I know they can't.
You know
and coming from Duluth, you know what I mean? It was really cool to be able to, you know what? I can always look back and say, when I was a kid, Solomon, what do you want to be? I told everybody. For some reason, in my mind, I love linebackers because they could kind of like run around and do whatever the hell they wanted to. They had no structure. And they were lined up everywhere. You know what I mean? Hit the D line, back up. You can, and they hit all the linemen every play. I just love linebacker. So I'm like, I don't want to be a running back because I got to sit right behind the quarterback and just get the ball and just go straight this way. You know what I mean? But yes, that was really cool, man. You know. And then what's also cool was when I was trying out for the my first combine, I ran into Randy Moss, Robert Smith, Culpepper. You know what I mean?
Sick as hell.
Yeah, man. So it was awesome,
Sick,
man.
Yeah.
So we were actually I was working out with their whole team pretty much back then for like a solid 8 months.
That's what's up.
In Minneapolis, and it was phenomenal. I learned so much.
That's dope.
Just the techniques, and how to breathe.
Yep.
You know what I mean, though, and like your correct steps and positions, and it was awesome, man.
Yeah. My favorite Randy Moss stat is he scored 56 touchdowns in 26 games.
You know,
He never played a college game where he didn't score a touchdown?
I remember, I think it was his first game we were playing against Dallas. And he just had these insane catches. And I remember as a Vikes fan, we're like, okay, this is different now.
Yeah. Most that guy.
But again, that goes right back to steps.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He kept getting faster on per route.
He was the only 4-sport All-American ever. Yep. Soccer, basketball, track, and football. Soccer.
I know. And then speaking of athletes also too, so I got with the Maurer family.
Okay, yep.
So me and Billy Maurer were the sales managers together at the time it was Denny Hecker Chevrolet. But Joe Maurer, he was a big sponsor of ours.
Yeah.
He didn't strike out in high school at all one time.
Sick.
Yep. Now Billy Maurer, he bought the dealership now, so but it was cool hanging out with the Maurers too, man. It was awesome.
Let's segue now into your music career.
Yeah.
Tell me about, because you got some dope music stories I want to hear about. I know about the Prince, which we're going to get into. So tell me when you first got into music and just how that's helped you through just life. And
that's a good question, man. That's who I really am. I mean, honestly, when I look at life, I couldn't have got through life without music. It's like
I say that all the time.
It's like watching a movie without music. You can't do it. So for me, my father was a pastor. So we had the Witherspoon choir.
Okay.
So me and all the kids, we had to sing.
Yeah.
For some reason, we were like the only church that had all these members, but why is only my family singing the choir?
Nobody else can get on this.
We had choir practice on Tuesday nights, Wednesday nights. My buddies are outside. I'm like, oh Lord, have mercy. But so I got into music because of my father. You know what I mean? We were in church and we had to be in the choir. My brother Sebastian was a lead singer, by the way.
I would have never. You know what? You know what? It kind of makes sense when you see Sebastian. Like when you see him, you used to lead a couple songs up there on the pulpit. That's funny.
So then, anyways, that's why I got into music. And then, literally, man, what happened was, there was a band called Stephen, Dr. Spoon and the Rhythm Union.
Okay.
Blues band. Man. Woo!
And that was your dad's band? Oh, it was yours?
Nope, Stephen.
Stephen,
My brother
okay.
Stephen.
All right, got it.
Stefan, yeah. He had this blues band, man. And his guitar player was Al. Every single time I heard this guitar, it moved the snot out of my soul. And I'm like, man, I have to be up there one day on that stage performing. Never really wanted to be, like a musician, really. Like even football. I never once did a touchdown dance. My dad said, you know what, if you score 10. So one game I scored 9 touchdowns. So I never ever got a chance to do a touchdown dance before. Scored hundreds of touchdowns, thousands of yards, but it just wasn't me. Music, I just seen this man on the guitar, and just the vibe of the band. But what was more impressive was when they weren't playing. They were all best friends. And I'm like, I want to be involved in a circle like that. You see what I'm saying though? Where nothing mattered. They would joke about having $5 or whatever and just going to get 4 or 5 cheeseburgers and just the small things like that, That's a movie. So anyways, music, man. And then Stephen, in high school, he was writing songs for the choir. And then I tried out for choir in Central. I made the red choir. So I made the varsity choir as a freshman.
That's what's up.
And that's kind of where it started pretty much, you know what I mean? And then Mr. Overland, God bless his soul, he passed away too. But yeah, we just started working together. And I'm just kind of like, I want to sing. And then once you can, once you know you got a little bit something in you, you know what I mean?
Start going crazy.
And for me, I was just so, just enthusiastic. And I just loved what I did so much. And I just took it a step further. I started studying people who I wanted to sound like, kind of, and I started to sing like that. And I was looking around all these other people. Nobody was studying anybody. They were just writing their music and doing it. They were taking it to that next level. I'm like, no, skip that. I'm going in. So, so for sure, as a kid, Paz, church, that's what got me. And then my brother Stephen had me singing. And then craziest thing happened one night. I'm going to just transition. We're out one night, me and my ex-wife. And we're chilling. And matter of fact, hang on, it was a Tuesday. We hear this commercial. Hey, this is Prince. Go check out Kit Blackshire. You got to see my favorite vocalist. And that's all we heard. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Prince promoting Kit Blackshire on the radio in Minneapolis. Everywhere we went, my ex-wife was like, hey, we got to go check out Kip. I'm like, let's roll. So Saturday, he played at Jasmine's. I'm like, yeah, we'll see what's up. So, we get there early, get a spot in front, cool little, beautiful, high-class place. We're chilling at the stage. Kip gets up there. I ain't never heard nobody sing live like this. I was like, what? My wife, she was like, what? Like, are you kidding me? All of a sudden, the stage, everybody's head does this. So we're like, what the hell are we looking at? So we do this here, and there's Prince. I was like, oh, shit. I'm like a kid. I'm like, okay, so I will settle down. You know what I mean? So this was Saturday night. Kip jumps off stage, leaves with Prince. I go back Tuesday to the same club. I see Kip. He's just sitting there by himself. I'm like, hey, man, Kip. I'm like, dude, wonderful show. My lady and I came down here, man. I said, one day I want to sound like you. And right there on the spot, he's like, hey, what do you do? I said, I sing. I'm in a band in Duluth called the Soul Prophets. And he's like, oh, well, let me hear something. I'm like, oh, word? Right now. I'm like, what's up? So there is like the little, the radio was on. I'm like, hey, man, his buddy Kurt owned it. I'm like, can you put on like, something that's kind of like funky that has something to it? I just wanted to hum along to it. They put something on, and I just started just running. Something came on, and like, I hit one of these little runs. Yeah. He was like, what? This is on a Tuesday. He's like, what are you doing tomorrow? Wednesday. Remember, we just went there Saturday. He's like, come to my house. I want to work with you. I'm like, inside, I can't even contain it, but out here, I'm like, hey, sounds good.
I'll be there.
Yep. Yeah. So I go to Kip's house on Wednesday. Thursday night, I'm at Paisley Park recording. Thursday night, I'm at Paisley Park. The following Saturday, I'm Kip's lead background vocalist.
Crazy.
Dang.
Hang on, all of a sudden, we're chilling at Bunkers. All of my people are there. I'm telling everybody the story. Who comes on stage and plays on the song Nothing Compares? Prince.
Stop playing.
So all of a sudden, I'm just kind of like, I'm in tears. I'm like, I cannot believe this. But the whole city, what I'm saying, though, is there. So now there's nothing to talk about. They're like, damn, Solo, you made it. You made it. And little did they know, we were making the money, but still, Prince is right there.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, it was such a blessing because then I got my own band. And my first two albums, the new Power Generation, that was my instrumentation. Michael Bland was my executive producer on my first album. Michael Bland was with Prince. That was Prince's favorite drummer. You can look all this up, and it was just such a blessing. Yeah. I got Sonny Thompson playing some bass on my first album. It's just it's unreal. That's what's up. You take a look at the stories. They played with everybody. Michael Scott was on there. He plays with Justin Timberlake. Currently, he's with Lady Gaga. It was just unreal. Yeah. You know what I mean? Then I signed a record label too with USR Records. Toured whenever it was awesome.
Yeah, I bet all off of let me hear something. I'm telling you, but you know what? That's opportunities. There's so many opportunities a lot of people don't take.
Yeah.
Or they miss out on. I think about the opportunity Joe and I got right now, just to do a festival in Bayfront. Sure, a lot of people that ain't big, but I'm thinking,
that's huge.
And for us, we made it. Listen, we've been doing this for a year. You know what I mean? And it started off as like, let's do something local.
See?
It's fun, and I told Joe the other day, it's like, I had to getting him involved in this was big for me because it grew the platform. Plus, I don't know, I do no editing and stuff, and we work so well together in just ideas. We argue a lot, but we argue. But at the end of the day, we cool. We don't give a fuck. Yeah. And it's always, but they're productive arguments too. If there's a way to say that they're productive, But now we had an opportunity to do a festival at Bayfront. And it was like,
that's huge. Congrats.
Let's go to work. That's
huge.
But it's hearing that's a motivation for people to say, no, you always just got to be ready. Yeah. No matter what happens, like, be ready because that moment going to pop up.
And CPAS, and once again, though, too, that's what this life's all about, for real. At any given moment. I tell people flat out, I'm always a conversation away. And a lot of people don't understand what that means. But in order for me to be able to say that, I've had to prep my whole life for that moment. It don't matter who I'm talking to, where I'm going. I always keep the Lord in front of me. You see what I'm saying, though? And just my faith, my spirituality, and my vision in life, which is simple. My tattoo, once a task has once begun, never leave it until it's done. Be it a labor, great or small, do it well. Or not at all. And if you live with the basics follow you. And it's not. There's no hard job in trusting the Lord. That's not hard. You know what I mean, though. So that opportunity, the Bayfront, you guys were ready. It's not like this just popped out of the blue. It was supposed to happen.
It's supposed to happen.
And maybe not when it did, but it was supposed to happen. And now it's showtime because this is just the start of many. You see what I'm saying, though? It's the start of many.
For Coachella soon.
Hey,
say hey.
But I do want to say one thing about music, though. What I didn't do was sell myself to the devil musically. You know what I mean, though? People, I met everybody. I mean, I did. I met everybody. I don't need a name drop because everybody knows who I met. But you know, what discouraged me though, like I met John Legend's manager. And I get like a phone number and all this. Nobody will call you back. Everybody's in it for themselves. And then you question yourself, like, wait a minute, am I really supposed to be here? And once you do things for the wrong reasons, the wrong things follow you. You see what I'm saying? That's why so many people get lost when they make it. You know what I mean? So I think, my I sat down with Bill Belichick on the chart for the Bears. And I said, hey, coach, tomorrow I'm going to run my 4.445. I'm going to put up 225, 30 to 35 times. I said, I have no questions for tomorrow. I said, what's your advice for me for life? I said, that's all. I said, I know what I'm going to do tomorrow. He sends back the other running backs. He's like, who are you and where are you from and who are your parents? This is Belichick. I'm like, well, Reverend Witherspoon, blah, blah, blah. And he said, where'd that question come from? I said, I just want your advice for life. I'm like, you made it on the platform. You know what I mean? I want your advice for life because if tomorrow doesn't come, if football don't work out, I want to hear it from the best because you've endured everything, every case scenario, from the pinnacle to the destitute. And he said to me, if you don't stay humble, you'll crumble. If you don't stay humble, you'll crumble. And that was just kind of like, wow. And then I had to dissect it. I'm like, what does that even really mean? You know what I mean? If you don't stay humble, you'll crumble. And then all of a sudden, you just take a look at people. You know what I mean? And some people call it luck, but if you walk with the Lord on your side, and all of a sudden, you get this opportunity to put a show on Bayfront, or you get an opportunity. That's not luck. That's the Lord blessing you for what you've done. You see what I'm saying, though? So, yeah, baby. Yeah.
So, were you always in Duluth? Did you move away at one point?
Oh, yeah. That's a good question, actually. I've been a traveling son of a gun. High school, I left, went to Idaho. I moved to Utah. I moved to California. I moved to Wyoming. I moved to Nebraska. I was on the road. I was gone I left Duluth when I was 18, and I got back to Duluth when I was 41.
Okay.
So I was gone for, the latter part of my...
So when I moved here, in 16, how long had you been back?
What year did you move here?
2016. Summer, so August of 16.
Maybe a year.
A year?
Maybe. No, not even a year, Pez. Not even a year.
Because you came back and just got right in the red herring.
Well, no.
Nope.
I was in Minneapolis. I was a general manager for Best Buy.
Best Buy. I was a
GM for Best Buy. And then while I was at Best Buy, I was going through my divorce. And then I moved to, I left there after, I'm not even sure, a year or something. Then I moved to LA for some music. And then I came home.
Got it. Okay.
Yep. So, yep. And then I met you,
And the red herring.
Hey, that was a blast, dude.
Listen, so when I moved here,
stop.
I went to UMD, got a second major, and I met these people that was like, oh yeah, we're gonna go to. There's this happy hour at Red Herring every Friday, like $4 drinks or $3.50 drinks, whatever it was. I was like, all right, fuck it. I don't know where it's at. We gonna go. We get there, and it wasn't a lot of black people up here anyway, which ain't that didn't really bother me. But I walked there, I was like, oh, who this dude behind the bar? Because we both just chopping it up. And he was like, you want a shot? And I was like, yeah. So pulled out a fresh handle of Fireball. About time the night over, we done drank the whole thing of Fireball. And I was like, y'all do this every Friday? Yeah, every Friday. So we was going every single Friday for probably 2 years.
Yeah, it was.
Where was the Red Herring?
Red Herring is across from Union Gospel Mission right now. It's on First Street. The ugly part of First Street. That's kind of all tore up and everything now. But it was a dope bar, and they always had the best bands you ever hear.
And you didn't know who they were.
And you never see them again. You see them play one time, and they disappeared off Earth.
Yep.
But they were the best bands I've ever heard.
It's wild. I don't really remember the Red Herring. How long was it here for? It's not still open, is it?
No, it closed in...
What, 5 years ago, maybe 6 years? I don't know.
COVID, right before COVID.
Yeah,
I think right before COVID.
Yeah, Bob Monahan owned it, and but we had it was magical.
It was packed every.
It
was the best bar around.
It was, but the thing about it was again music.
Yeah, it was music. It was.
But what was crazy is these bands that came. Nobody heard about them, but the people that came, you'd never seen these people that came, and they kind of follow them. Mm-hmm. They'd come in from everywhere this band was from.
Yeah, and you talk to people, I'm here from Washington. I'm here from Washington.
Yeah. Like, what?
What are you doing here? Like, it's crazy.
And then all these bands do, they play year-round at these places, We were paying other bands $2,000 to $3,000, too.
Which is crazy.
They make money. Mm-hmm. You figure you play, 4 or 5 nights a week, and you make $1,000 a night. Yeah. That's $5,000 a week.
That was a great time.
Hey, but man, we when I met you too, one thing that was cool was I'll never forget, dude. Your personality and how like your attitude was so contagious. I was like, man, I met one of the coolest dudes I've ever met in my life.
Appreciate it.
I mean, you know what I'm saying, Paz? I was like, where the hell are you from, dude? You know what I'm saying? Because when you meet somebody, you just gel with them.
Yeah, for real.
And it's kind of like, no, this is like my best friend, my brother. I've met you before, maybe in another life or something.
Yep.
When I seen Paz, and then we wouldn't have to say a damn word to each other. It was like, what's up?
And then it was crazy because I met the family, and then all of the brothers was like my brother Elijah and them. You know how close we all are with them.
I know.
You know it. I remember somebody asked me one day, "You relate to the Witherspoons?" I was like, "Nah, they just like they my boys." You know what I mean? So,
and then I got Spoon's Bar, and I got Spoon's Bar. Yeah, man, that was
Joe gave you a shout out in the Chicken and What video.
Oh, he did?
So we did Chicken and What, and Joe had been the sandwich. He said
perfectly. I haven't tasted something that good of a chicken sandwich since Spoon's.
Piss. I ain't had a sandwich like this since Spoon's. Like, man, you took me back. So, give you a shout out on the
Hey, and that too, that was crazy too, man, because
what a ride.
I've always wanted a restaurant, which I'm gonna be back in the swing of things. You know how that works. I got things that works, but literally, man, me and Stefan we were at MLK Day downtown, and Tom Hansen had donated 1,000 pieces of chicken or something for the MLK.
Yep.
He's like, but you guys have to cook it.
Yeah.
So we go to Ocean Smokehouse. I get there 5 in the cooking everything. Tom's helping out. And I'm like, you are a phenomenal man. I mean, and then I kept hearing about everything he sponsors,
Tom, that guy.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, hey, so we get out there and, we're setting up all the tables. We have food for everybody for the day. 1,000 pieces of chicken. I'm like, hey, Mr. Hansen, I said, just one day I'm going to be like you in your shoes as far as being able to give to this city like that. And I said, just with a smile. And then you hear about how many times he does it. So anyways, he's like, he said, you cook? I'm like, yeah, I cook. I get down. Me and Stefan, he didn't really know. He's like, oh, you know what? I don't know what happened. 4 or 5 hours later. Hey, what are you guys doing this week? Maybe you guys can, bring me, some food you like to cook. Me and my friends will taste it. We'll go from there. So me and Stefan made some greens, made some mac and cheese, cornbread, and fried chicken. Brought to Tom's, they ate it up.
Staple meal.
And then all of a sudden Tom's like, we need to do, let's have a fundraiser. But to start your guys' business or whatever. Had a fundraiser. The first one was at Peace Church. So Tom called the news all within a matter of seconds. 2 days later, they were down, blah, blah, blah. And we sold out in 45 minutes online. Yep. So then all of a sudden, I'm down and people are like, oh my gosh, I had your food. And then I'm talking to Mitch at Mitch's Bar and Grill. And he was like, hey man, Everything's always for sale. Let me know if you guys want to talk. I want you guys to come down, use my kitchen. You can have all the proceeds out of my kitchen. He said, just, kick me like whatever, 5 or 10% or something, small. We went down there, sold out the first time I mentioned.
I remember. Yeah, I remember that.
Yep. Yep. And then all of a sudden, he's like, hey, man, you know what? He's like, pretty much like, you know what? This is for sale. Figure something out. So I found the investor. We went down there. Boom! Pass. Woo!
Spoons was the last time, and I'm happy for COVID because we was at Spoons the wildest days of the week.
Oh,
Tuesdays,
man.
Wednesdays.
Oh,
I'm thinking, what are we doing? But it was the neighborhood bar. I met Joe at Spoons.
Oh, you did?
That's where me and Joe first met, was at Spoons. It was me, him, and Mike Letica.
Okay.
And I think we just got a sandwich or something like that, and just was talking. So the people who you connect with when you go to Spoons, the music was always jumping. Something was always live on TV. It was always some riffraff, but it was never drama.
No, never.
We just had a ball. And then when I was running for city council,
you had that night was. Oh gosh!
And you came to that, I think.
No, because we didn't know each other when you first announced.
That's right. So I threw my announcement party. Joe, we had probably 300 people in Spoons.
No, there was more than that.
It might have been. It was ridiculous.
People left at some point. We had 250 people before like 7 or 8
that is true, before we even started
and
the party.
Everybody came. We were like,
and I was thinking, I don't even know these people. And they said, we're all here. Oh, yeah, he's too fat. We threw first of all, I got too drunk. Anyway,
was faded.
I'm holding his baby, singing on stage with you.
On stage.
Wow, it was the best though. But that was the type of place that Spoons was. I'll tell you, if there's a bar that's ever going to be talked about until the end of time, it's going to be Spoons.
Yeah, it is, man. But you know what, though? The thing about Spoons was, though, for one, everybody's welcome. But we all loved each other, though.
Yeah, facts.
And you couldn't help but to feel that magnetic. When you walk in, it's kind of like, this is what I'm talking about.
Food always hit. And it was different. It was a different type of food.
Pat's like, hey, you know what you need to do? And you were always so damn...
I was, but y'all asked me. But you know what? I used to go, y'all used to let me make little changes in the mac. I'll get off the mac and cheese. Mac and cheese, right? Oh, yeah.
Hey, when you were like, you need to do this, you're like, and that look, you're like, hey, man, you know what? I'm like, oh, shit, here we go.
Yeah.
I'm like, what, dude? He's like, you need to do this here. He's a big guy. Didn't like that at all. I'm like, all right, cool, man,
switch the whole shit up, and now
we're jumping. And we did it.
I'll tell you, one day, I think about it all the time, I would love to open a bar just because I just like meeting people. You know what I mean? And talking, and that atmosphere is fun. Yeah. It is if you make it the way it's supposed to be.
Correct.
You know what I mean? It don't need to be a drunk fest.
Yep.
You can go in the bar and have one drink as long as the atmosphere is great. You're fine. Or go in there and not drink at all and still be fine.
But that's our energy together, though, too. You know, Pez would just come in and he'd look at me like, I'm like, gotcha. I know that. You got to look there like, I'm like, I got you, my goal.
What a time. Those were simpler days. Yeah. So now let's fast forward to now. What are you doing now? What do you have coming up for yourself now?
Good question. Right now, so I'm just working with kids right now. On a daily basis. I got a lot of things going on too outside of Duluth right now. I'm looking to. Remember, I just owned a bar. In Bowlby, Wisconsin. I got back here December 22nd. So I've just been back for 4 or 5 months, but I got some big plans in the works, and then I'm working with Victor Martinez now, and we have that radio.
Yeah, plug it.
Yeah, we got it's called Zenith City Radio, and it's on all apps right now. I guess the biggest attribute to this is we want to make it about the community. We want to speak to the locals, but what's different with this catch is we're on iHeart, we're on Amazon, we're on all platforms right now. So there's about over 500 million listeners. So if you're an artist right now, you can come, we can put your song on the radio right now, worldwide, and whoever even watches it, we can see exactly where they're at. It kind of pings everybody, you know what I mean, though? So we're looking to bring the city together, you know what I mean, though? And obviously, I love to entertain, music-wise. For sure, I'm in the studio now every day. I got about 4 or 4 you got to check out some music now. But I'm going to be back out there playing music, and
get me and Joe on the track. We got you.
I got you. But other than that, Pez, just, man, I'm living life literally with the emphasis. You know, the operative question is, how can I make today better than yesterday? Whatever that looks like.
Yep.
I reach out to people every single day, every single week that I haven't spoke to. Like, hey, what's up? What's going on?
Yep.
You know, just I'm here. You know what I mean? So I'm loving life right now, Pez.
Yep.
Just got a boat.
Yeah, I seen it.
I got a big 22-foot boat, so we're gonna be on.
We're race.
Yep. We're gonna be in the water.
Boat.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna lie, I don't know if my boat faster than that.
I probably wouldn't even. I'm not. I'm just gonna chill.
I
I'm
know.
gonna pull up at
I just might pull up on the side of you. Rev it, you know what I mean? Like I'm in a Hellcat real quick.
I'm like, man. But come get a plate though. I'll be throwing down.
I got you.
Yeah.
I got you.
Are you down in the Megaman too, or?
No, he.
I live out east now. I'm about 2 blocks from East High School, but I'm gonna probably have it docked at Barker's Island. I got a fishing boat too that we take out to Island Lake, that other stuff, you know. But this summer, you know, I'm gonna enjoy my days, and that's what it's all about, though. You know what I'm saying? I'm done just kind of sitting back and letting my days roll and just waking up in the morning like, oh well, what are we gonna do today? No, I'm doing it. I'm doing the reciprocal.
Whatever. Yeah. That's it. I'm telling you, that's the best life. No plans, you just go.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, though.
You ain't gotta be nowhere. So as we wrap up, I asked the question we asked everybody, and so don't think of it as like if you would change something, but if you could go back and just say something to younger Solomon, what would it be?
Say something to a younger Solomon. Just because you're invited to the party doesn't mean you have to go. You know?
That's a good one.
Just because you're invited doesn't mean you have to go. I made a lot of left turns, you know, that potentially and perhaps I shouldn't have made, but I was still able to find the light in those dark situations. You know what I mean? Brother murdered, sister murdered, 2 best friends murdered, you know. There's a big part of that all to where the younger Solomon, I could have, you know, potentially been a different influence on certain situations, not thinking too philosophical. But that's my words to myself, like, you know, just because you're invited to the party doesn't mean you have to go. You know, it's like, you know, life is such a blessing, you know what I mean, though? And it's, be patient. You see what I'm saying, though? Don't think that, you know, you're going to find, you know what I mean, greener grass on the other side. You see what I'm saying, though? Just let everything unfold. You know what I mean? And again, it's not what you do, it's what you don't do. And at this point in my life, what I'm not going to do, I'm not going to make the mistakes that led me down that dead end before.
For sure.
Period.
Yep. No, that's good advice. I think, like, my life is that way in the sense of I don't really care about the other side much. It's like, what can I do right now with what we're doing? How can we make that better? You know, because a lot of people sometimes run from the situation because, oh, this ain't working out, and I'm going to just give up on it, or I'll put it to the side. And it's like, nah, like, you on this path for a reason. That's right. There's some stuff you got to get off of your path, but I'm never going to get off of this path.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So,
I do know what you mean.
Yeah, so that's what's up.
Well, hey, man, I appreciate you guys having me on.
Heck
today,
yeah.
You know? And it was, you know, what's cool, Pez, you know, it's like some people, you don't have to talk to them for 8 months, and you don't got to see them, but when you see them, it's just kind of like, hey, you know what, we're in each other's life for a reason. So I love, respect, and appreciate you, man.
Same, man. I appreciate it. You already know. So, and thank you all for listening in.
Lessons of love, you guys, for sure.
And like always, like, subscribe, and share, and we'll see you next time.
Boom.
Boom.